How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? It's the 54th edition of the MMA Podcast, the first edition coming from Denver, Colorado. It's August 2nd, 2013, and it is a jam-packed week, one of those weeks where we got 2 cards to talk about, actually 3 cards to talk about. We have the Bellator card from a couple days ago. Last weekend we had UFC on Fox 8 with the flyweight champion, Mighty Mouse, retaining it, and this coming Saturday we got UFC 163. The weigh-ins were today. We'll talk about that. We got Aldo versus the Korean Zombie. Also, like always, we got a slew of MMA news. Bellator putting on a Rampage Tito pay-per-view. And, of course, we are going to break down UFC 163. I'm pumped. Let's do this shit.
You're listening to the MMA Podcast!
What's going on, cocksuckers? It is the MMA Podcast, August 2nd. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate the support, and we love when people call in and chat with us. If you are listening live and want to call in, be a part of the conversation, you can call in 2 different ways. You can Skype us at the MMA Podcast, all one word, just like our Twitter. Or you can call in. That phone number is 213-457-3380. Check us out on iTunes and YouTube. You can find the links for those on our website, TheMMApodcast.com. We also got the usual goddamn suspects on tonight, Ramses, Ross, and Yao. We'll start it off with the boy, none other than the word on the goddamn street. What's going on, Ramses? You beautiful cocksucker.
Thanks a lot, man. Look, there used to be a day when you would talk to your neighbors, and that's how the word would spread on the streets, on the actual streets. But now everybody's on the fucking internet, terrified of talking to each other in real life. So I got the word on the street, on the internet. Follow me on Twitter, Jimmy Show. Fuck you.
Fuck your life,
cocksuckers. Yeah, what's up, guys?
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Yao. I'm happy to be on this podcast as always, and we'll pass it over to Ross.
The Fink, the Jew, the one they all come for the best posters in the goddamn business.
What up, guys? Follow me on Twitter at Ross Finkelstein. That's all I gotta say.
E before the L, you dirty motherfuckers. And let's get straight to it. UFC on Fox 8 was this past Saturday, July 27th, at the Key Arena in Seattle, Washington. Let's be honest. It was kind of a stinker. I'll go over the prelims really quick. Yautzin Meza defeating friend of the show John Albert, unfortunately via rear naked choke. Albert his days in the UFC might be numbered. Usually losing on a Facebook prelim does not bode well for your UFC future. You also have Justin Salas defeating Aaron Riley in a split decision, which actually turned out to be kind of a trend, because the next 3 fights were all split decisions. You had Jermaine de Randamie defeating Julie Kedzie, Ed Herman defeating Trevor Smith, and Darren Cruikshank defeating Eve Edwards in a bizarre 30-27, 27-30, 30-27 split decision. If you can have 2 different judges literally turning in the opposite cards, then one of those judges should not be at the table. We also had Danny Castillo defeating Tim Means via unanimous decision, and Jorge Masvidal defeating Michael Chiesa, heartbreaking Darce choke in the second round, literally with less than a second left. Michael Chiesa taps in front of the home crowd and actually didn't even stay for the official announcement. He actually retreated back to the locker room right after the fight, a la Forrest Griffin. It really was a prelim card that had a little bit more to be desired. some of the fights were great, but some of the fights just were not great at all. But before we get into the prelims, just your overall feel of the entire card, UFC on Fox 8, top to bottom. A lot of the Fox cards have been really great. This, in my opinion, wasn't really one of them. Ramses, what did you think?
This card was just going to end up being average. Just another, you ain't going to be pissed off that you spent a Saturday night watching the UFC on Fox. You didn't have to pay for it, whatever. It went from being just an average card like that to one fight fucking ruining it for everybody. It was like that guy at the party. All right, just ruins everything for a crying baby in a movie theater.
That's actually a great point.
And everybody knows what I'm talking about, which fight I'm fucking talking about.
Yep.
Rory McDonald versus Jake Ellenberger. They should both be cut after this bullshit.
And ironically,
it was card murdered it.
And I'm sorry to cut in, but kind of ironically, this was the fight everyone was looking forward to. Everyone's saying, I don't care about Lawler versus this bum. I don't care about Carmouche. I don't care about the 25-pounders. These two welterweights want to kill each other. I want to watch Rory versus Jake. And that ended up being the card that just ruined it. Sorry.
Rory stunk. He was Greg Jackson's wet dream come true. That fight was bullshit. Like I said, it sunk the whole card. It took a good card and, an average card and made it into shit. They shit on it. It was like the last episode of The Sopranos. Remember when Phil Leotardo gets it? He's pumping gas. He's saying hi to his little nephews in the backseat, the little babies. And then he gets shot a couple times in the head, right? And that was the card so far. But then he gets run over by the front wheel of the SUV because it was, left in neutral or something. That backing over his head, crushing his skull. That's what Rory McDonald did to this card. That's the word on the street.
Damn, that's powerful. Yeah, what'd you think of UFC on Fox 8?
For me, the card was great. I enjoyed every single fight on it. Some, had me screaming and yelling, jumping up. Some had me, calm, just watching it, studying sometimes. But to me, the overall card was great. I enjoyed it.
Fuck yeah. Ross Finkelstein, you're a very smart fan. You know the sport from top to bottom. If anybody could have drawn pleasure out of a shitty UFC or MMA card, it's you, because you know the game top to bottom. But did you find anything really from UFC on Fox 8, or are you in the same boat as the rest of us that this was a stinker?
There were highs and there were lows. There were certainly some very bright spots throughout the show. I'm off the top of my head, Robbie Lawler looking great, Demetrius Johnson looking great. The co-main event was a complete dud. It didn't live up to the hype. No one tried to win the fight. But top to bottom, it wasn't a bad card. If you go back and you look, and you take away a couple of meh fights, you leave the Ed Herman fight against Trevor Smith. That was a back and forth war with one of the best fights of the year. And really, we got to look at Mighty Mouse and Mighty Mouse's performance, and just shutting down such a great fighter in John Moraga, but the way he shoots those takedowns, the speed he comes in, and just with a minute left in the fight, basically still wanting a finish and getting an armbar and trapping both arms actually in the armbar. It was kind of a double armbar, and Moraga couldn't tap. He was trying to get his arm out to tap. It's a weird card. There low moments, high moments. If I had to rate it, I'd rate it 3 out of 5 stars.
Yeah, I think all of you make valid points, but Ramses and Ross, your points sort of go together. I felt like really it was a 3 out of 5 star fight. It wasn't really bad. It wasn't a 2-star fight, but that Rory versus Jake fight just left us with such a shitty taste in our mouth. We will talk about that fight specifically, but I wanted to start off with the prelim fights first. Really, I went over all of the results, but what did you take from all of them? Probably the highlight of the prelims, at least in my eyes, was the Melvin Gillard KO over Danzig. The Cruikshank-Edwards fight was interesting. The judges' decision was even more interesting. The end of the Chiesa fight, like I mentioned, was a heartbreaker. Somehow Ed Herman made more money than Demetrius Johnson on this card, which, when I really think about it, it's probably one of these things where Johnson's a smart guy, and Johnson probably got a lot more than $58,000. But it's just funny seeing those numbers and seeing how certain guys like Gillard and Herman officially, quote unquote, make more than a Mighty Mouse, who is turning into one of these guys who might be a perennial champion. I mean, I'm sort of back and forth on him. He has landed a lot of illegal blows. I feel like he's sort of the Chick Congo of the flyweight division a lot of times. But you really got to respect a guy who's active going for a sub with a minute left in a 25-minute fight that you have easily won on the judges' scorecard, 50-45. But yeah, other than that, what did... any certain things jump out you from those? I guess there were eight prelim fights, 2 on Facebook and 6 on FX. Ramses?
Look, trust me, Mighty Mouse is getting the money that he deserves, all right? He's half a man. He should get paid half as much, all right? He's half the size of a normal fighter. He only needs to eat half as much food, so just give him that much money, whatever. Anyway, the biggest disappointment on this card was definitely the decision that went against Yves Edwards against Darren Cruikshank. It was bullshit. The Thug Jitsu Master did win. I have it scored right in front of me, and I'm the best judge that there is. Let me tell you something that came out after the fight. It all comes out in the wash. Detroit, where Darren is from, he's the Detroit superstar, apparently. What did they declare a fucking bankruptcy or something a couple weeks ago? Guess what? What a coincidence. 3 of the judges at the fight from Detroit. All right, that's all I'm saying. I'm not making any allegations. I'm just putting that out there for you. That's the word on the street.
It's powerful, yeah.
Look, there was only one fight on this prelim card that mattered, and that was Melvin Gillard's fight. All right, he comes back after 2 losses, 2 important losses. And he comes back and wins, not only knocks the guy out, but in spectacular and devastating fashion. All right, that was hard to watch. He won. I'm happy. He's back in the win column, and he's going to get that title shot.
Indeed, Ross. What'd you think of the prelims? Anything jump out at you?
Well, I won't take the nut huggery approach and point out just one guy or one fight. I'm actually going to go up and down the list. And Facebook-wise, I mean, John Albert. What stands out to me is just John Albert is not a UFC caliber fighter. He has absolutely no cardio. He lasts 2 minutes, and then you finish him with some sort of choke. Other than that, on the FX card, the Kedzie. I cannot pronounce the name.
Randame, I think, I don't know.
Yeah. That was a close fight. I'm a little disappointed in Julie Kedzie. She got a couple of those takedowns there, especially the one in the second round, or really the one. Yeah, I think it was the second round. She really did nothing with the takedown. She could have finished, and she did nothing. She could have passed through. She could have passed half guard. It was wide open, and she didn't. Herman Smith was unbelievable, back and forth. Both guys hurt each other. They showed everything in that fight. They showed great scrambling skill. They showed tremendous striking, tremendous chins, tremendous heart. It was a great fight. Cruikshank Edwards, I truly believe that fight was a draw. I had it 29-29. It's disappointing to see Yves Edwards lose because I am a Yves Edwards fan. I'm also a Darren Cruikshank fan. Melvin Gillard looked fantastic. Mac Danzig is a bum. Nothing really new there. We all knew Danzig was a bum. Yeah. And then the only other thing that stood out there was Michael Chiesa in the first round in the Masvidal fight. His striking was looking fantastic. He had dropped Masvidal, something that I sure as hell didn't expect. He hurt him, and then to come out in the second round and to get dominated like that and then get submitted with the second left, it's a heartbreaker. But Masvidal is tough, and I'm excited for his next fight. I think he's fighting Rustam Khabilov in November, so that's going to be a good fight.
Definitely. And you did touch on the Julie Kedzie fight, which I did actually want to touch on that as well. Everyone's talking about this Ronda Rousey, Miesha Tate co-main event at UFC 168. Will Miesha be able to get revenge? Miesha Tate's 1-2 in her last 3 fights. The only woman she's defeated in her last 3 fights was Julie Kedzie, who did not look impressive at all in her fight last weekend. And Kedzie was close to defeating Miesha Tate. If Kedzie would have made it to the judges' scorecard, she would have beaten Miesha Tate. So this fight really made me sort of scratch my head and go, wow, Miesha Tate might not be all she's cracked up to be. But let's move on to the main card. First, I want to talk about this Liz Carmouche Jessica Andrade fight, ending second round via TKO. 4 minutes in, Liz Carmouche looking really good. I would love to see a Carmouche Zingano fight. If Rousey isn't going to fight again until summer, I don't really know the extent and seriousness of Kat Zingano's knee injury, but I know a lot of people are not interested in women's MMA at all, and they might watch a Ronda Rousey fight, but they're not really interested. And I'll admit, I sort of at times feel like I'm forcing myself to follow women's MMA, but Liz Carmouche is a hell of a fighter, and I would love to see her rematch Ronda Rousey. A lot of people forget that Liz almost choked her out. I mean, that was by far the closest anyone's come to beating Ronda Rousey. So I mean, this was one of those fights that did nothing but help women's mixed martial arts. What did you think of the fight, Ramses?
I have to completely disagree. This fight was an utter and complete disappointment. In fact, after this fight, I'm done with women's MMA. No more chances. I've given them enough chances. All right? 3 fights in, we're already seeing some crap like this. It was a one-sided beatdown. The other girls, it's over as soon as one of these women get punched in the face. And then the fight's over. It was just a merciless beatdown. I mean, what Liz was just showing off or something for that. No way. It was not competitive at all. They shouldn't have put this on TV. I don't think there's any coming back anymore. I'm done with women's MMA. That's the word on the street.
Thank you, Ramses. Finally, someone. That's
right.
Look, I've been done with women's MMA before the girls were even in the UFC a long time ago. This is nothing new. You guys know. I didn't even watch this fight. I was out at 7-Eleven getting snacks. I didn't watch this fight. I got the tweets. I saw who won. But good for, what is her name? Carmouche, I guess.
All right. We can't hear you, Jake.
Yo, I fucking slipped away to take a piss, and all I hear is radio silence. What the fuck's going on, cocksuckers? I can't leave for 30 seconds? Shit goes haywire.
I know the order by now.
Well, Liz Carmouche looked great.
Names.
Liz Carmouche looked great. She beat the shit out of Jessica Andrade. Jessica Andrade's not really a UFC caliber fighter. She really isn't good, or I mean, who knows? But she really isn't. She doesn't stand out anywhere. She's not going to win any fights in the UFC. I think the best thing for Liz Carmouche now is to book a fight between her and Alexis Davis. Alexis Davis had an okay performance back. Who did she fight? Rosie Sexton, I think. Yeah, she fought Rosie Sexton. Went to the decision. She looked pretty good in the fight, but it was kind of lackluster. Rosie Sexton's really a 125er. I think that's the fight to book. Move up the ladder at women's 135. But the person who should fight, well, Kat Zingano should get the next title shot after the Rousey-Tate fight. But then after that, Sarah McMahon, Sarah Kaufman, whoever wins that's probably in the mix. They'll probably have to fight one more time, though, because they're fighting at the end of this month. They're fighting on August 28th.
Yeah, Ali was definitely looking good in that fight against Sexton. Speaking of looking good, I don't know if she's the sister or cousin of Jessica Andrade, but has anybody seen the new Octagon girl from Brazil, Jenny Andrade?
Yeah, me and her go way back. What's up, Jenny? How's it going?
Man, I was looking at the mixedmartialarts.com app. I almost crashed my car here on Colfax Boulevard. Shit was intense. But let's move on to what, in my opinion, was the most entertaining fight on the card. Robbie Lawler KOing Bobby Volker. Robbie Lawler is really making a name for himself now in the UFC. He defeated Josh Koscheck. Yeah, Bobby Volker isn't a huge name, but he fucked him up. I think this shoots Lawler up into the top 10. I want to see him fight a top guy next. He looks good. What did you guys think of the fight, Ramses?
Everybody's talking about this new Robbie Lawler, like he remade himself and like something changed, like there was some sort of revelation. Why everybody's pretending like he's not on the fucking juice now, and that's not what happened. Give me a goddamn break, people. It's gonna come out sooner or later. That is the word on the street. That's all I gotta say about that fight.
Yeah, that was a great performance he put on. What I liked the most was how he stood there with his arms up after he knocked out Volker. I mean, that was amazing. He stood there and just looked at himself on the big screen with his arms up. That was amazing. I loved it. I loved it more than the kick. But yeah, he's looking great. I mean, two knockouts, just coming back into the UFC, and I do want to see him fight a top 10 guy.
Ross, what do you think?
Yeah, Robbie Lawler is looking fantastic. He's looking better and better. Like Dana says it perfectly. The guy's matured. He's still young. He's not exactly an old guy. He's only 30, 31 years old. He's been fighting for a long time, so he's got a lot of experience, and he's really he's coming into his own. He's fighting at welterweight for the first time in a billion years, and his wrestling's looking good. His striking's looking good. He's looking like a complete fighter, and that was a vicious knockout. I think he's about 2 fights away from a title fight. I think the best thing for him next is Rory McDonald. Rory McDonald had a lackluster performance, so Robbie Lawler, Rory McDonald makes sense. Winner of that fight gets the number 1 contenders fight.
Yeah, I actually like that call a lot. We will move on to the stinker we talked about earlier. Rory McDonald, Jake Ellenberger. Jake Ellenberger not fighting aggressive. Rory McDonald playing on the defense the entire match. Ramses, you broke it down well last time. But yeah, I mean, why were these guys seemingly so unmotivated?
Rory McDonald is a fancy boy, all right? He probably doesn't want to face St. Pierre, or maybe the UFC doesn't want to set that fight up. Either way, he's just playing it safe. He stunk against BJ Penn last time on Fox. Cut him off of Fox, get him off of TV, put him back on those Facebook prelims. I mean, honestly, I would cut him. I would cut him after this bullshit, man. There's a lot of other hungrier, younger guys who deserve more of a chance. I'm done with Rory McDonald. He has been reduced to bump status. He is a fancy boy of the week. I'm done with him. I've been done with him. I see nothing special in this kid. Him and Mike Ricci, man, they're both turned out to be disappointments. Both of them. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, this fight was actually, alright, this sounds like cheesy and everything, but I actually did like the fight. It was very, very technical, and it's a fight that a lot of young fighters can learn from. And George St. Pierre, he said it, best. You don't brawl with the brawler. And it's up to the guy that's losing to change the momentum of the fight. And that's something that Jake Ellenberger didn't win. Rory, he was up. He's winning the fight. He's not going to do anything drastic and risk losing the fight if he's already winning. And that's very, very smart to do, especially with a dangerous guy like Jake Ellenberger. So I enjoyed the fight. Rory played it. You can say he played it safe, but he fought a smart fight. And I can respect that. And I can't wait to see where he goes from here.
Really quickly, I know what you're saying And, you know, it's not on Rory to fight differently because he won, and that's your goal, to win. But something's got to change in the rules because people say Rory fought a smart fight. Rory was not fighting in that stanza with Ellenberger, because I'm not even going to call those 15 minutes a fight. Ross?
Nobody's going to pay money to see that shit.
Yeah, neither you can't classify this as anybody fighting a smart fight or anybody fighting a fight, because nobody fought a fight. They both stood 3 feet away from each other and just walked around the cage, and Rory threw a jab once in a while. That was it. And then Ellenberger got a takedown in the 3rd round, and he made it look easy too. I just don't understand what he was thinking, just staying outside and not coming in, and then just throwing just random hooks. He wasn't doing anything. Neither guy was doing anything. I'm not impressed by either guy's performance, and I think Jake Ellenberger could have won this fight, and he for some reason chose not to win this fight. Neither guy, both guys, that was a bum performance.
Yeah, that was a bum performance. I was not impressed with their performance. But I was impressed with Demetrius Johnson's performance, going out there looking so impressive against a game John Moraga, getting that armbar with like a minute left in the fight. Latest finish in UFC history. Ramses, what did you think about the Littleman going down and having, I mean, I would call it a war, but it was so one-sided.
Give me a break with this fucking this Hobbit fight, man. These 2 Ewoks trying to throw jump kicks at each other. I'm sorry, people. 125-pound men's fight as the main event after you've already seen some girls fight that weigh more than these guys. Liz Carmouche could have beaten the hell out of Mighty Mouse and Moraga. Who the hell? Nobody even. Who the hell is Moraga? I still don't know. And I saw this fight. I don't know. Mighty Mouse. I mean, there's only what. There's nobody left in the division anymore. There's like 6 guys. It's all over. They need to just close this one up. Open up another women's division at 125. People will watch that more than they're going to watch a men's. Sorry, Mighty Mouse. He's a great fighter, whatever, but he needs to do something, man. He needs to get on something. Something's got to happen. That's all I have to say.
This fight was amazing. It was probably, time and time again, I think to myself, if you have a guy that has never watched MMA before, what's the perfect fight to show him? This was that fight. This fight was amazing from start to finish. I mean, you see these wrestlers that come into MMA and they struggle to take people down. People that are not even wrestlers themselves. They struggle to take people down. But then you have the guy like Demetrius Johnson that knows the best way to take someone down is with timing and accuracy, and that's what he did. He was doing a lot of, reactive takedowns more than just proactive, reacting to your opponent to take him down instead of just attacking with takedowns. And it was amazing. I mean, that jiu-jitsu combination he did, going for the Kimura and then switching to the armbar was amazing. We did that on the mat Monday. Actually, right after the fight, we drilled it. It was amazing, and I can't wait. Demetrius Johnson is going to have that title for a very long time. There's nobody in that division that can even, I don't want to say test him, but there's nobody in that division that's better than him. I knew he was going to be great since he beat Joseph Benavidez and won the title, and he's just going to keep getting better, and he's an inspiration. He really is.
You're an inspiration, yeah. Ross, what did you think of the title fight?
I thought it was an unbelievable performance by Mighty Mouse. I went into this fight picking Moraga. I'm a Moraga fan. I thought Moraga he would get taken down. He would lose some rounds, but in the end, he would hit Demetrius and he would finish him, and he did hit him. He didn't finish him, though. He got taken down. Every takedown that Mighty Mouse went for, he got. I think he was like 100% on his takedowns, which is incredible. He got at least like 10 plus takedowns. He's just miles above everyone in the division. He's so fast. He's so accurate. He's so well rounded. There's no holes in his game. Super fight 135 is what I want to see. I want to see him fight I think he beats Dominic Cruz. I think in the rematch he beats him. Cruz's knee is just completely done. I don't see any way that Cruz beats him in a rematch. And Barao, that's a pretty fun fight for me. I think Barao still beats him because Barao's just bigger. But yeah, Demetrius Johnson, one of the best fighters in the world. I'm not doubting him anymore. He's going to have that belt for a while.
Yeah, I'm starting to think the same thing. Mighty Mouse looks impressive as hell. Who gets the next title fight at 125, Ramses?
They need to cancel this division. You guys aren't listening to me. There's nobody left. It's all over. There was nobody to begin with. Get Mighty Mouse to rematch Cruz or some shit like that. I don't know. 125 pounds. When the bottom limit for women is 135, it doesn't make any fucking sense. Get rid of it. Mighty Mouse is a good guy. He's a cool guy, but come on, 125 pounds. Get out of here, people. Get out of here.
I think it'll be a rematch with either Joseph Benavidez or maybe even John Dodson. Those two should really be fighting each other. I don't know why they aren't, but they're going to fight each other soon, and I think Joseph Benavidez will get that rematch because he's going to keep beating these bums that they keep feeding him.
Who gets the next title shot? That's it's a difficult decision because it's a little weird to go with a rematch so quickly, but it's bound to happen. Joseph Benavidez, the winner of Joseph Benavidez versus Formiga, the winner of that fight could get the next title shot. Another guy who could get the title shot, Luis Gaudenot. If he beats Tim Elliott, I'd like to see him get the title shot. He looked great against John Lineker, and he hasn't fought since because of some injuries, but I think if he wins this fight against Tim Elliott, I think it's at UFC 164, I want to see Luis Gaudenot, Long Island guy, get the next title shot.
Green hair guy, right?
Yes.
Green hair guy. What has he done his last few fights?
Well, he's had 2 fights in the UFC so far. He's 1-1 in the UFC, but the record's deceiving. He's a natural 125er. He had no business being at 135. He was on Tough. That was the way he got into the UFC. He fought the 135-pound tournament in Tough, and he lost to, I believe it was Johnny Bedford. He got completely outsized. He was just with strength. He destroyed him. But then he went on and he had a great fight with John Lineker back in May of last year at UFC on Fox 3, and he looked really good. He submitted him, choked him out with a guillotine.
True that, yeah. I definitely wouldn't mind seeing that. Yeah, I guess that about wraps it up. Your bonuses: Ed Herman, Trevor Smith was the fight of the night, Melvin Gillard was the KO, and Mighty Mouse was the sub. It got a gate of just over 700,000. Not even 9,000 people were in attendance. Not really flashy numbers there. But, that's what you're going to expect with a Fox card headlined by 125-pounders. By far the most anticipated fight on that card was the Jake Rory fight, and I'm sure a lot of people turned off during that fight. It was a sad state of affairs, people. We do have some fights too. Oh, actually, before we get to the news and before we get to Yao's training log, I also want to briefly talk about the Bellator event. Ben Askren and Michael Chandler both defending their titles. Did you watch it, and what do you think of the event, Ramses?
I don't know anything about this. I'll just hand it over to Yao. I'm not going to lie to these people.
Yeah, I can't lie either. I didn't get home I didn't get home with enough time to watch it, and unfortunately, I did not see it yet.
Well,
yeah,
I know Ross watched it.
Yes, I did see it. Ben Askren is I don't find the guy entertaining, but he is unbelievably talented. There is no one who can beat him. You go in there, you know exactly what he's going to do, and you can't stop it because the guy goes out there to hold you, and he goes out there to he goes with the flow. He needs to stay in top position, and he always will try and keep top position. He'll go for a submission, but he won't commit to it so much that if if things turn bad, he loses top position. He will make sure that he is just constantly rolling, constantly transitioning, and staying in top position and landing. The guy outlanded Korshkov literally 248 strikes to 3, which is the most dominant performance ever. There's nothing that has ever been like that. That is the most one-sided beatdown in MMA history. And Michael Chandler is an absolute stud. He looks better and better, and he looks complete already. And he's so young, and he's getting better, which is even scarier, because I think he's top 3, one of the best lightweights in the world, if not the best lightweight in the world. We just don't truly know it yet, because he's stuck in Bellator. He signed an 8-fight contract, which is like career suicide. Ben Askren, on the other hand, he fought his final fight on his contract for Bellator. He wants to go to the UFC, but if he goes to the UFC, he won't fight for another year because he's going to have to sit out the matching period. So I think we see Askren in the UFC next.
So you think we've seen his last fight in Bellator?
Yes.
Well, that sort of goes into the next thing I was going to pass around, whether or not you think Ben Askren could challenge for the title. And I guess to be specific, could he beat George St. Pierre or Johnny Hendricks, whoever wins that fight? I mean, personally, I don't think he could, but I think he easily could be a top 5 guy in the division. Ramsey?
I don't know anything about Ben Askren. I just know that he's not in the UFC. So guess what? I'm going to take the casual fan approach here and assume that Ben Askren is not as good as any of these guys in the UFC. So he'd probably lose that fight.
What?
That was yesterday, man. They don't pay me for fucking
flip-flopping.
They don't pay me for Fridays, man. Anyway, this Ben Askren, never heard of him. I don't know. That's all I have, man. I've never even seen this guy fight. Word on the street.
Yeah.
No, I don't think. I mean, yeah, he could challenge for the title, but I don't see him beating any of the top 3 guys in the division when he gets there. I mean, I don't see him beating Rory McDonald. I don't see him beating GSP, especially GSP, and I don't see him beating anyone that's 3rd in the welterweight division.
Wait, so you're saying GSP and Rory are 1 and 2?
Yes.
Interesting. Ross, what do you think?
I think that's wow.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a very, very bold statement. I will give you that, yeah. Ben Askren, do I think he can challenge for the UFC belt? Absolutely. Do I think he could win the UFC belt? Absolutely. His mat grappling is the best in MMA. You can't say GSP's is better. No one can out grapple Ben Askren, and that's just the truth. But the question is, will his chin be able to withstand someone like Johnny Hendricks? Will he be able to dodge a big left hand and get knocked out? That's the question. I mean, he's had one bad fight his entire career. He tried to actually fight, like go in there toe-to-toe, strike and fight, and that was against Jay Heron. And it didn't work out too well. He got beat up pretty bad. He won the fight, but ever since then, he has stuck to his mat grappling, he's stuck to the wrestling, and he has just dominated everyone. So I think, yes, he can challenge for the title, and I do think he can win the belt.
What about Michael Chandler? Ramses? Same question, but at 155. I feel like we're going to hear more of the same of what you heard. Yep. All right, Ross.
Is he the guy? Wait. Is he the guy that choked out John Fitch?
No. He's the guy that beat Eddie Alvarez.
Why aren't we talking about the guy that choked out John Fitch, all right? Who are these guys?
Josh Berkman? That was the World Series of Fighting.
Yeah, why aren't we talking about the World Series of Fighting? What is this? Ben Askren, and who is this guy that you just asked me about? I don't even know it 10 seconds later. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think Michael Chandler can challenge for the title. He like Ross said, he probably could. He could be number 1 lightweight in the world. His explosiveness, his striking, his power, his wrestling, his cardio, his will to win is amazing, and I do want him in the UFC as soon as possible. But, you know, with this whole Bellator deal, I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon.
Bellator is like a controlly, clingy girlfriend. Once you get involved with them, it's really hard to shake them off. Ross?
Yeah, Ben Askren, Michael Chandler can definitely challenge for the UFC
He doesn't
belt.
even know the fucking difference. What the fuck, Michael Chandler? No. All right, go on. Sorry, Ross.
It's my time. Michael Chandler can definitely challenge for the UFC belt. He can definitely win the UFC belt. I truly believe he is the uncrowned number one lightweight in the world. He's one of my favorite fighters to watch. It's just an absolute shame that he's stuck in Bellator and you won't see him in the UFC for at least 5 years. The guy has 8 more fights on his contract. So 3 fights a year. It's going to be 2.5 years before he's done, and then he's got to wait another year, and it's going to be a mess. But hopefully one day we will get to see an undefeated Michael Chandler in the UFC.
That would be really nice. It would be nice to see Eddie Alvarez in the UFC too, but I'm not really expecting to see either guy in the UFC anytime soon. So at least for now, the point is kind of moot. Let's move straight on. It's time for Yao's training log. He's got an event coming up. Let me scramble and find the audio. Here we go. He's coming off the grappling quest, getting ready for his next event. First and foremost, Yao, what have you been doing the last week as far as training?
Training's been great. Just been, trying to get better each and every day. Jiu-jitsu mostly and wrestling. But I'm better than I was last week, so that's a plus.
Always better, always growing. So what is the event coming up?
The next event is NJBJJF, the New Jersey Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Federation. It's August 19th. That's August 18th. A Sunday. I'm doing gi and no gi, 159.
Word. So, what specifically are you doing to prep?
Just training, trying to fix the mistakes that I made in my last tournament. Make sure
I want to ask you about that, actually. Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is relating to it. I did see and retweet your fight on YouTube, one of your no-gi matches. You were dominating, and then it's almost like you stalled out or something, and your opponent got the upper hand. Well, have you learned from that, or was that a fluke? What do you have to say about that particular match? Look it up on YouTube, people.
Yeah, that match, I left my head too low in his guard, and that's something I never do in training, and I did it, and when I was competing, and that's what's really frustrating about it. It's something that I never do, but I let it happen in competition. And it's something that I just need to remember not to do. I don't know what I was thinking doing that, but it happened.
Word. So, that was the no-gi match, correct?
Yes, that was.
What happened in the what went down in the gi match?
The gi match, I'm still trying to find. A lot of people recorded it. I'm trying to find the best video possible to put up. The gi match. I went out. I was up on points again. I had passed into side control, and then I got mounted with the mount that I could have escaped, that I know how to escape, but I just didn't do it, and then I ended up getting gi choked.
Damn. So I guess really more you're worried about the no gi match because you're gonna be in a no gi tournament next, correct?
Yeah, I'm doing both actually. Both.
Word. So you mentioned you left your head too low in the guard. Like, what are you doing specifically to train? Obviously, you're trying not to keep your head too low in the guard when you train. But what sort of drills are you doing to make sure you don't make the same mistake in an actual match?
Well, that's a great question, because what I've been doing lately is, as when I'm in the guard, I have a flashback right to where I got choked, and I bring my head right up. Automatically, I start thinking about it, and I bring my head right up, and it's keeping me sharp, because I never want that to happen again. Like, I really believed I was going to win every single match on that day, and to have it not happen was very devastating, and I don't want it to happen again. So I'm just keeping my mind sharp, and these flashbacks that I have when I'm training, they help me a lot.
Word. So I'm trying to think. You're definitely training a lot of technique and jiu-jitsu. What percent of your training is cardio, and what percent is just actually drilling jiu-jitsu?
Well, cardio is mostly in the mornings, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday mornings. I do a lot of cardio, and then afterward, jiu-jitsu. And we do a lot of cardio on the mat as well. But I run as much as I can, which is probably like 3 to 4 days a week. But yeah, I'm doing cardio throughout the week just as much as I'm doing training.
How far do you typically run?
My typical run will be anywhere from 3 to 4 miles in one day. If I split it up or if I just do one straight run, it's typically between 3 to 4 miles.
True. So you hitting up a treadmill or actually running through Queens, New York?
If I have, that's a funny question. If I have a running buddy, I'll run through Queens, New York. But if not, if I have no one to run with, then I'll get on the treadmill. Because I'm not too comfortable running by myself through a neighborhood.
Yeah, I ran a lot in Florida. Not much interesting in Florida other than alligators and old people. Queens, that is a poppin' city. There's tons of stuff going on. What's the craziest thing you've ever seen during a run or just walking around in Queens? Like, what is the wildest shit you've ever seen on the streets?
Okay, to be completely honest, I saw somebody take a baby into a car. It looked like it was like her parent, I guess. But I honestly think I witnessed a kidnapping before. And it was so fast that I didn't even know what to do.
Damn, yeah, I was a witness to a kidnapping.
What are you going to do?
Yeah,
what are you going to do? Not
much you can do. People
gambled their babies and, they got to pay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, when I gamble away a baby, you really think I'm going to give you my baby? Son. So are there any other parts of training you wanted to talk about?
No, nothing really. Just, training leading up to my tournament. That's all, really. I don't have to deal with the weight cut for this tournament. So I'm just going to be training and getting better, fix my mistakes, and go after that gold medal on the 18th.
Word to the cocksucker. Ross, Chris, Ramses, you have any, you have anything you wanted to ask?
Go get him, Tiger. Go get him.
Yeah, man, keep at it. Yeah, man, we believe in you, dude. Man, you don't want to be one of these people where you ain't got a career in fighting. You got to start fucking selling babies, Damn, if I had a dime for every baby I sold, I'd have 75. I'd buy you a Coke from the vending machine.
Wait, you would have 75 cents, so you've sold 7.5 babies?
Roughly. Hey,
Roughly
don't ask
7.5.
about the half.
Top half
on.
or the bottom half?
We move on now.
We move on now,
Jake.
We move on to what's probably even more disgusting than a chopped in half baby. Tito Ortiz and Rampage Jackson are going to headline the first Bellator pay-per-view. A couple people have asked me about it. To be totally honest, I sort of echoed these same sentiments on the word on the street last night. I don't give a shit. These are two guys who are not top 20 in their weight class. They're guys who are washed up and really have been not motivated, seemingly. They're friends. I usually don't call out a work, but if any fight is going to be a work, you're looking at it. And really it shows you what Bellator is doing. They're sort of like Ross, you were saying last night, they're not acting like companies like the RFA who are trying to build up young talent. They're just going after these big names, washed up dudes. I thought they were going to build up Paige and Tito more, but they're blowing their load now. Whatever, I really don't care. It's much more interesting like I said last night, from a business standpoint than it is the actual fight. The fight itself, I don't give a fuck. Ramses. And actually, really quick, you may have heard him. Chris joined the call. Follow him on Twitter at C Lowenstein, and Chris will let you jump in at the end after Ross. The order will be Ramses, Yao, Ross, and Chris. And how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Just got home. I'm ready to shoot the shit with you fellas.
Touching that rotten little pecker of yours?
Oh, you know it, man. I never stop.
Hell yeah. Ramses, what do you think about this Page Tito pay-per-view?
Enough with the pecker talk. Let's get back to the dead babies. Speaking of dead babies, Rampage is coming back. Gonna fight Tito. Yeah, I saw this coming a mile away. It wasn't too hard to figure out. For some reason, nobody was touching it. And then they make this big reveal. That's how you know the MMA media is shit. If I'm tweeting something, I'm just figuring out here smoking weed. I'm here on the streets, people, alright? These people are on the internet. That's the difference. That's the word on the street. You gotta listen to me from now on. I'll never steer you wrong, except when somebody steers me wrong and I can just make an excuse for it or concoct an elaborate conspiracy theory to explain why I was wrong. Next question. Or Yao, Tito versus Rampage. What do you got to say?
Well, the only thing more absurd than this matchup is the fact that I hear that it's the same day as Silver versus Weidman too. Is that correct?
No.
No, it's November 2nd.
No, it's going to be November 2nd in Long Beach.
Wow. Okay. I
Yeah,
just
that
got
would
lied
be
to, but
that would be suicide.
yeah, somebody just lied to me. But
You know what you
yeah,
gotta
it's
do.
ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I mean, it makes sense though. If they're gonna put anyone on a pay-per-view, it would have to be their biggest names. And I mean, who's gonna buy a pay-per-view like King Mo or another light heavyweight? That's the only light heavyweight I know. But they're gonna buy it because Rampage and Tito on it. So in a way, it's smart, but at the same time, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, this is terrible. This is pathetic. Why are we even talking about it? It serves no purpose. And what makes it even more ridiculous is last night Tito re-debuted in TNA Impact Wrestling, and they're going to turn it into a storyline.
Yeah,
they're going to
the
wrestle a
Aces
match in
whatever,
October.
Late Street.
The Aces and Eights versus Main Event Mafia. Tito Ortiz was August 1 warning. He's going to be on Impact Wrestling every Thursday. Please do not tune in 9 o'clock Eastern Time. They'll wrestle in October and then they'll fight in November. Who gives a shit? Let's move on, please.
Oh yeah, the 8 main man Mafia. Check them out. They're taking over TNA.
Listen, guys, this is some black magic. This is some Voldemort shit. The more we talk about it, the more power we give to it, and we can't feed this black magic, you guys. So I'm just gonna pretend it never happened.
That's racist. Moving on, Lyoto Machida saying that Anderson Silva was pressured into a rematch with Chris Weidman. My question is, what's the news here? No fucking shit. Like after the fight, Silva's saying he didn't want to get a rematch, and Dana's like, "Oh no, it's gonna happen." Of course, Dana pressured him. Like, what the why is Lyoto even saying this? Because it's fucking obvious. Of course, Zuffa pressured Anderson into the rematch. Second, why is this news? Did anyone even raise an eyebrow seeing this? I mean, I saw people talking about it. I was like, yeah, obviously. What the fuck are we talking about, guys?
Yeah, this is fucking ridiculous, man. Everyone, I mean, Anderson, man, he almost, people thought he was retiring in the ring after Weidman, but he was saying some nonsense about how he doesn't want to fight for the belt anymore. He just wants to fight or whatever. Yeah, that's not going to make any money. Everybody knew it. Dana White shit his pants, told him. Of course there was some pressure applied. Machida ain't fucking lying. He knows the business. Dana White put the pressure on. He got a call from the Burger King himself, people. The head of Nike. Everybody calling Anderson, you got to take this fucking fight, son, and we're going to take back everything that you ever had. Everything, man. Yeah, I mean, how many kids has he got? That's as many reasons as he has to come back. It's, So yeah, I believe the Dragon dude. He's pissed off at the UFC because they ain't giving him that man's money when he's calling people out, and Anderson is backing away from title fights. So of course he leaked the real jizz. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, Jake, you said it best. Why is this even news? I mean, really? Like, why is it news? It's stupid. Of course he was, there was some pressure applied. We all knew that Anderson couldn't deny the rematch. So then, of course, there was pressure applied, of course. This is stupid. Ross, what do you think?
There's no question there was pressure applied. I mean, the best thing you can do, go on Twitter, follow Front Row Brian. He breaks it down perfectly. Anderson never wanted the rematch. At the end of the day, he lost. He's old. He knows he's not going to win the rematch. He's fighting someone younger. He doesn't want to fight for the title anymore. He doesn't want to. He wants. Anderson's notorious for being able to pick his opponents, and when he's not getting to pick his opponents anymore. So he wants to be able to not fight for the belt now. He wants to be able to pick his opponents. He wants to fight guys he wants to fight, not people who are younger and faster and are going to destroy him or beat him. So no question there was pressure. This isn't even a story.
Yeah, inside sources tell me that Uncle Dana has a really, really firm, if not aggressively firm handshake, and I think it was used in negotiations.
Hell yeah, I actually hear the same exact thing. He has a firm handshake. Man, you know what? I was going to make a dick joke, but for once I'm going to avoid the dick joke. 10 solid seconds of sports start now. Rays are looking very good. Cardinals are looking very good. Pirates are going to finish for the first time with a winning record in 20 years. That's all I really can talk about. Riley Cooper's a racist, I guess. Yeah, it's really ugly. We are in the doldrums of summer, and there is not that much going on. Let's stick to the MMA news, which thank God for MMA on weeks like this where there's really nothing to talk about except for how racist some dude in the NFL is. Dana White saying that this GSP Rory fight will definitely eventually happen. Do you think we'll ever see the fight? I say no. I don't think the need is going to be there after Johnny beats him. I'm kind of surprised that Dana's talking about GSP Rory like GSP beating Johnny is like this accepted reality. He's not going to beat Johnny. If GSP and Rory fight, it would need to be for a championship, and I don't. I think GSP loses his belt in the next fight, and they're not going to fight for a title, period.
I won't believe that GSP is going to fight Johnny Hendricks until the referee says it's time, or let's get it on, or whatever the fuck it is. All right, this fight ain't going to happen until Gaye. I fucking see it happen. Let's get it on. Yeah, this fight ain't going to happen, man. Ain't going to happen. So yeah, Roy versus Hendricks. All right, I'll play along. Let's assume that Hendricks loses to GSP. All right, then you're just gonna match up Roy against Hendricks or something. Let's assume Hendricks wins GSP. Then you're gonna match up Roy against Hendricks or something. They ain't gonna fight each other. It ain't gonna happen, especially now. Imagine if these two fought at this moment in time. After Roy's last two performances, after this ruining this card, it would be the most piece of shit fight ever put on by any organization whatsoever since the beginning of human history. Word on the street, they ain't gonna fight.
Yeah, they're not gonna fight. I don't think they're not gonna fight. George, he already hinted at other weight classes. I think he's gonna do a super fight against Ben Henderson or something like that, or maybe even Jose Aldo when he moves up to 55.
Henderson?
Yeah, he's going to fight Ben Henderson. Watch, you're going to see.
You're crazy, dude.
He's going to have a super fight with Ben Henderson or maybe even, like I said, Aldo when he moves to 55. But he'll do everything he can not to fight Rory McDonald. Or maybe even Rory will just move up to 85 and fight for the middleweight championship. They'll do anything they can to not fight each other.
Yeah, I don't ever see the fight happening. I see Rory staying at 170, though. I don't see him moving up to 185. I see him staying at 170. If George wins, they'll find a way around it. George will fight a super fight, like Yao said. I've wanted to see the Ben Henderson GSP fight. I said that's an interesting fight because they both they're not finishing fights, but they're beating their opponents. They're going 5 rounds. So I want to see how that would play out. But I don't see GSP winning. I have GSP losing in November. And GSP is going to retire soon. His trainer, Faraz Zahabi, has said that he wants to retire. He's going to retire, and that'll be that. If he wins, he's going to fight Ben Henderson and then retire. That's what I see happening.
Yeah, Rory, like you brought up, going up to middleweight, he's got that weird Franklin weight issue where he's just massive for welterweight and he's on the small end for middleweight. So I don't really see him going up. There doesn't seem to be much of a point unless he actually can't cut the weight. I highly doubt that. He seems to have that under control. So will they fight, man? You know, what's to be said that you guys didn't bring up? George, I think no matter what, after the Hendricks fight, win, lose, or draw, he's done defending his belt. You know, whether he fights, Ben Henderson or Anderson Silva, I think after the Hendricks fight, that's the last time we're going to see him defend his 170 strap.
Powerful Chris Lowenstein. Moving up from 170 to 185, we have heard that Chael Sonnen is going to go down to middleweight after fighting Shogun Rua, and they both they both want to fight each other at UFC 168. It looks like. Belfort agreeing to a bout at UFC 168 is silly, though, because we all know Keith Kaiser is not going to license him in the state of Nevada. Ross actually brought up a really great point last night on the Word on the Street that I'll let him get to tonight. But I'd love to see the fight happen because the winner would have the crack at the winner of the rematch of the title. Ramses?
Look, the thing with Chael Sonnen that you got to understand, him moving back down, he just wants to cement his legacy at middleweight, all right? He never officially got the crown, but we all know he won it at least twice, once in the WEC. They politics, they screwed him out of that. The first fight with Anderson Silva, he beat that man. It should have been stopped by all accounts, at least at 10 points during the fight. 10 different points. And of course, he even gave the middleweight division a break. He said, all right, guys, I'll let you guys play around there in the sandbox. He moves up to 205, massacres John Jones, early stoppage, of course, but you saw what happened. I mean, if that fight had gone on another minute, it would have been called Dr. Stoppage. Chael Sonnen wins. Everything's a fucking technicality with him. But we all know the truth. Any real hardcore MMA fan knows that he's the rightful middleweight champion and light heavyweight champion now. So yeah, he's just going back down to 185 to make it official now. And God bless him, he's going to tear through Shogun and then just do what he's got to do back down there. And that's the word on the street. I have it straight from as close to the source as you can possibly get, people. Thank you.
That was amazing, Ramses. I just have to let you know that. Yeah,
Thank you. That's the truth.
The Sonnen and Belfort fight, I believe that's what we're talking about. I like that fight a lot, but I have a problem, and that is that I'm huge fans of both guys, and I don't want to see either one lose, but I do think that Vitor will knock Chael out cold.
Wow.
It's a bold statement, and lucky for you, you will never have to see them fight because this fight will never happen. Vitor Belfort, with his testosterone replacement therapy, he has a positive test already. With Chael, he has a red flag, I would say. Not really a positive test because it was a ratio, not so much.
No substance was found.
Exactly. With Vitor, there was a substance found. He tested positive for anabolic steroids in 2007 in Nevada. He's not going to get a TRT exemption, which means he's not going to fight in America. If he can't fight in Nevada, he can't fight in New Jersey, he can't fight anywhere but maybe Texas. And he can't fight for a title if it's going to be just Texas and Brazil. They can't do that. If you are UFC champion or fighting for the UFC belt, you need to at least be able to fight in New Jersey, Nevada. You need to be able to fight in the prominent places, especially Nevada. Chael, on the other hand, can't go to Brazil. They can't send him to Brazil because it's a liability issue, and they cannot do it. It's unsafe. So with Vitor not able to come
Can
to
you
America,
imagine what he would do to that country? You're damn right it's unsafe. Those poor people.
You're just jumping in every 5 seconds tonight. And
Big fat
Shit.
fucking ass. Oh!
Are you done? Can
Yes.
the Jew have his piece?
It's Joey
Yes,
B,
let the
baby.
Jew have something.
Can you believe the balls
Exactly.
on this kid?
So Chael can't go to Brazil. Vitor can't come to America. This fight doesn't happen. But, well, actually, I'll leave it at that. I'll wait for the next topic to explain the next part. Chris?
Now, I'm sorry, guys. Is the question who would win in a fight between Chael and Belfort? I missed the initial question. Is that the question? Anybody?
No, it's just, do you think the fight will happen? And if it happens, who will win?
It would only happen in Brazil, you know. And even then, Belfort says he's only fighting for a title at middleweight, so it would have to be a 205-pound contest. And I think you have to ask yourself, who has more mental fortitude between the two? Who finds a way to win more? And I think ultimately that goes to Chael. As much as I think he is a mental midget that only comes in title fights, he can't seem to overcome that hump. So I think he would definitely beat Belfort regardless. In Brazil, I don't know, man. Belfort's a monster when he's got his vitamins, but I'm leaning towards Chael in that one.
For sure. I guess I never mixed in my thoughts. Vitor versus Chael. It'll be really interesting, but I think Chael would win that fight via a decision and earn a title fight against Chris Weidman. Really quick, though, before we move on to something else related to Vitor, I want to throw in something that actually not a ton of people saw, but Chael Sonnen, we know him. He's a politician. He's a realtor. He's a owner of a pizza joint. He's a UFC fighter, and now we can add poet to the list. And I'm really quickly going to read this poem. It was a sonnet by Sonnen. It goes, on August 17th a fight will take place, and everyone's screensaver will be Vanderlei's face, not scowling or pounding his fists, or struggling with English, or rolling his wrists, but watching in horror as Docs try to wake his little henchman Shogun, who made the mistake of jumping in line on my way to his boss, and wound up KTFO'd, and then explaining a loss at the press conference table, while Wandy outside tries hailing a cab for the panic-filled ride to Logan Airport, or even better still, to the docks to stow away on a boat to Brazil, where he'll try to hide from this gangster right here who's going to leave him face down and end his career. That's goddamn brilliant shit by Chael Sonnen, and I am very pumped. We are going to see Shogun versus Sonnen in just a couple weeks now. That is going to be a goddamn amazing fight. But getting back to Belfort, Tim Kennedy actually makes news. Pretty interesting. Usually when you see fighters and you hear who they want to fight the best guy. Not necessarily Tim Kennedy saying he prefers a bout with the iconic Vanderlei Silva over the PED user Belfort. To quote him, I think he said, I wasn't thrilled about fighting Vitor in Brazil. I've always been vocal about being against TRT. I had mixed feelings about fighting him in Brazil. It's his legacy. He can do what he wants, but I think it demeans the sport when he uses performance-enhancing drugs. Does Kim Kennedy have a point, Ramses?
She's so hot.
Look, I love Kim Kennedy more than anybody, man. I'm close to the Kennedys here in Austin.
I'm going to start calling him that.
Look, he lives here in Austin. I love him to death. I really do. But what is this with calling out Vitor and then saying he wants Vanderlei Silva next? He's ripping a page. He's ripping off Chael Sonnen, man. just reading off of his damn poetry book or whatever the fuck it is. And by the way, you forgot to mention that Chael Sonnen is not only a poet and a fighter, he is a best-selling author.
That's right.
An actor.
UFC commentator.
Right, a sports commentator and a fight historian of sorts. And a politician, like you said. Anyway, I just wanted to clear that up. But yeah, Tim Kennedy, he's a soldier. He's basically, he's the poor man's Chael right now. The problem is he's not kicking up enough back up to Chael. You know what I'm saying? Not giving the man enough credit. If you're gonna rip off Chael, at least just give him the fucking thank you or the nod, you know? And then we'll get behind you. But I love you to death, Tim Kennedy. I really do, representing Austin, Texas, Thug Jitsu.
Yeah, I think Kennedy, calling these guys out, he doesn't want to be matched up with a guy that won't boost him, you could say, boost him up in the rankings and everything. He wants a top name, and that's smart, because, nobody knows who Roger Gracie is, really. I didn't even know he was fighting on the card back at 162. So he wants a big, household name that he can beat and move up in the rankings.
Yeah, first of all, props to Tim Kennedy. He's ready to fight anybody at any time, anywhere, and that's a great trait. He's taken after a lot of legends by doing that. I don't know why he's calling out Vanderlei, but you know what? Let him do it because it gets his name out there, and that's all that matters. You need to get your name out there, even more so than just trying to win fights against higher ranked guys. Just fighting a legend or fighting someone with a huge name is all that matters for him right now. But with the whole Vitor Belfort thing, the UFC does not want Vitor Belfort because it all ties. They don't want him to fight for the title because it all ties back to the TRT stuff. And if he can't fight in Vegas and he can't fight in America other than Texas, he can't be champion. You can't have the champion only fighting fights in Brazil over and over and over again. They can't do that because what are they going to do? Put him in Brazil and Abu Dhabi? No, they can't do that. So by giving him Tim Kennedy, or at least wanting to give him Tim Kennedy, it's a risk because if Tim Kennedy can survive and get to the later rounds, he could win that fight, and it offers absolutely no reward to Vitor Belfort. If Vitor were to knock out Tim Kennedy, okay, whatever, he's got to fight someone else, and they can give him another grappler who can take him down and beat him so that they don't have to worry about him fighting for the title. So until he gets beat, he's going to constantly want a title shot, but it's going to be very difficult to give the guy one.
Yeah, man, Tim Kennedy, I like him as much as the next guy outside of the cage, but honestly, I'm not a huge fan inside the cage. He's lost to Scott Smith, Jason Mayhem Miller, Jacare Souza, and Luke Rockhold. I do not think that he has any of the qualities that makes for a potential, title challenger. And, props to him for stepping up and saying stuff, trying to call people out. But let's not forget that he's not a company man talking about fighter pay. If he's being used in any kind of title eliminator fight or going up against guys like Vanderlei or Belfort, it's only to do injustice to Belfort or, to give Vanderlei an easy win. His fight with Rockhold was pretty crappy. His fight with Roger Gracie was pretty crappy.
Kim Kennedy.
Kim Kennedy, yeah. Tim Kennedy fought Kim Kennedy. Yeah, no, so I can't blame the guy, but I don't see him really beating Belfort at all. I think he'd get destroyed. And Vanderlei, maybe he could eke out a decision, but I just don't see him being a threat in the division.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know why I thought somebody else was talking, even though this is like the 10th topic we've done. I think that about breaks down the week in MMA news, though. We still got that UFC 160 card from Brazil, or 163 card from Brazil to break down. And if you were interested in, making any plays, you think you're fucking smart, you got prop bets, you got straight up bets, let me tell you, you probably weren't the guy who bet $1 million on Chris Weidman at UFC 162. The reason I know that is because we have that guy on the line. We got the Jew. We got Ross Finkelstein, the man who won, what, I think you won like $3 million or $4 million off of that bet. You won a shitload of money, and now you're going to... Jesus Christ. And now you're going to tell us how we can get rich. Give us the lines, cocksucker.
Ladies and gentlemen, UFC 163 is a terrible card. But that doesn't matter because I am a Jew and I can still make you rich, and that's all that matters because the world revolves around money. So let's get this thing started. First off, this card looks like a disaster for betting. And it is, if you're a fucking idiot. If you're me, you can find gems in here. First thing I did, I looked at this card, I looked at the odds, and I saw a parlay right off the bat. Aldo is minus 750. Lyoto Machida is minus 375. Vinny Magalhaes is minus 450, and Ian McCall is minus 450. If you parlay those four guys, it's plus 115. That is a fucking steal. So if you want to make money like a Jew, like a good old Jew, the best Jew, bet on that right there. That's my lock of the night right there. That parlay is my lock of the night. As far as props go, there are 4 props that stand out, and they involve 3 of the guys I said before. Aldo, inside the distance, minus 250. Korean Zombie has nothing for him. What's he gonna do? It's gonna come forward and get knocked out. George Root beat this guy up. He's nobody. So Aldo wins inside the distance, probably knockout, but go with inside the distance just to be safe. Minus 250. Machida, KO TKO, plus 225. That is an absolute steal. This just looks like Ryan Bader all over again. It's the black Ryan Bader, except less talented, honestly. Ryan Bader at least has some power in his hands. So Machida wins by knockout or TKO, plus 225. Vinny Magalhaes wins inside the distance, minus 135. This is another steal. Anthony Perosh has nothing. He's a hippo. He's 43, 42, 41, however old he is. We did this the other night. He's nobody. And the final prop bet, it's kind of surprising, but Edinaldo Oliveira wins by knockout TKO. He's fighting the first fight of the night. That's plus 150. He is a sparring partner. He's the main sparring partner of Junior Dos Santos, fantastic boxer. This guy is 6'7", and he's fighting at 205. His opponent has been knocked out brutally 3 times. This is a recipe for disaster. He's going to win this fight easily. And then my single plays, pretty basic. John Lineker is a fantastic fighter, but he missed weight, and when he misses weight, he sucks. Jose Maria Tome is 33-3. He's going to come out. He's going to upset. He's going to shock the world. Plus 325. He's got this fight. And the other single play, Edinaldo Oliveira, minus 130. Sparring partner of JDS, like I said before. That's a great bet. He's 6'7". There's no way his opponent's going to beat him. And that's all I've got for you. Remember, I'm spreading the Jew to you.
Hell yeah, I love it. You mentioned Lineker not making weight. Traditionally, guys who don't make weight don't do very well, and you would think like, oh, well, if he doesn't make him weight, he's heavier, so he should do better. Not necessarily. A guy who makes weight has drawn himself out to the absolute minimum and probably isn't going to be 100% on fight night. At UFC on Fox 8, I think we saw 2 guys miss weight, in John Albert and Tim Means. Both of them lost. Let's get to UFC 163. Let's start off with the Facebook card. We got Edinaldo Oliveira versus Francimar Barroso at 205. The welterweights, we got friend of the show Bristol Murundi taking on Viscardi Andrade. And in the featherweights, we got Hani Yahya and Josh Clopton. What do you think about these fights, Ramses?
I'm going to have to pass to the next person. I think it's Yao, but I'm sorry. There's nothing exciting on this card except Vinny's fight. It's a total disaster. It's a train wreck. I probably, as soon as Vinny will be the main event to me, I'm not even, will I stick around for the main card? Give me one reason. What's up, Yao?
Yeah, probably the most appealing fight is the Ronnie Yahya fight. He's looked better than he did in the WEC, in my opinion, and that's probably the most, the fight that stands out the most.
Yeah, Honey, I really did look better in the WEC. He actually he beat Eddie Wineland, if you guys remember that.
Standing rear naked.
Yep. To me, there are a lot of great fights on the prelims. I like the prelims more than the main card. I'm excited to see Ian McCall fight. He's always entertaining. He's a great fighter, and he's the guy to look out for at 125. He's going to challenge Mighty Mouse at some point. Who knows if he'll do as well as he did the first time, but that's a fight I still want to see. Vinny is always great to watch as long as it doesn't look like his last fight, which it's not. He's fighting an absolute bum. This is like target practice for him. And Edinaldo Oliveira, definitely look out for that guy. 6'7", 205, sparring partner at JDS. Need I say more?
Yeah, definitely some good picks there. I'd got to go with Yao and Hani Yaya. That guy, I mean, he's had his ups and downs in his career, but let's not be mistaken here. That guy is an absolute monster on the ground, especially considering his physical talents. He's not a very imposing guy. He's not super explosive, but he just has a real awesome technical wizardry, and he knows how to latch on submissions. I'd say he's essentially the 135, or in this case, 145, whichever weight it's at. He's the Joe Lozon of his division, I think.
Yeah, and we'll move to the FX card. I did want to focus on the Ian McCall fight. I think all of us have Ian McCall winning. He's fighting a bum, a guy who doesn't even have his own Facebook page. Let's be real here. So I'm not going to ask about the fight itself. I'm going to ask if you think Ian McCall's ever going to be a threat for the belt again. I mean, he kind of dropped off. I think he is. You know, his personal life has been pretty rough lately. Ian McCall, you know, coming into the UFC had beaten Hussier Formiga, was really one of the top guys everyone was talking about. Since then, he had a draw against Mighty Mouse and then lost 2 straight fights to Mighty Mouse and Benavidez. If Ian McCall can find that same guy who fought Mighty Mouse the first time, that's a flyweight champion. That fight should have gone to a 4th round, and as far as the momentum looked, Ian McCall would have won. This is such a huge step down. His last 3 fights were against easily the top 2 guys at 125, and I don't even know if this guy Santos is even top 10. But yeah, what do you guys think about McCall's future as far as the title goes?
You gotta understand, man. You gots to understand about Ian McCall. He's already had 2 shots against the champion. There's nothing left for him anymore in that division. That's why I keep saying this division's over. It's that thin. Ian McCall, he's already faced off against the best twice, lost twice. Well, yeah, alright, one of them was fucking trouble. Come on. He lost the fucking fight in the eyes of everybody. It's a damn shame about this kid, but now there's no place else to go but down, you know? He had his chance to beat the best. He didn't twice. It's over for him. No more title shot. He should be back at the Facebook prelims or wherever the fuck it is. I'm sorry. It's a cold, sad reality. He couldn't beat the best. They're not going to put him up against him for another time. What the fuck would that? No, I feel bad for the guy. He needs to move up a weight class or something. And he needs to like just change his whole fucking attitude and who he is, because he's got a bad rap as it is. Give him a reason to keep you around, Ian. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, Ramses makes a great point. I mean, are they really going to match him up for the 3rd time? You know, Mighty Mouse versus Uncle Creepy 3. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, yeah, he can beat these guys and get close to the title. I mean, even if they make the title fight, he's not going to beat Demetrius Johnson. You know, he's too sharp. We already won over Demetrius Johnson. He's going to have that title for a long time. So, no, he doesn't. He can get close to the title, but he's not going to win it.
Ian McCall, he's had a rough year. I mean, his wife cheated on him with that piece of shit, Rob Emerson. He had the probation issue last year, and just he's had a rough year. He had a rough weight cut the 2nd time around against Mighty Mouse, and if you look at their performances, he did better against Mighty Mouse than just Benavidez did. So that fight is still open. I think he will get back on track. I think he gets back on track with this fight. He wins impressively, and then I think he goes on, he fights one or two more times, probably two more times, and he gets a title shot.
Yeah, as far as Ian McCall goes, me and Jake had the chance to interview the guy, and I'm always a mark for rooting for the guy that we've talked to. He looked really good against Demetrius in the fight, and he good against Joseph Benavidez. It wasn't the greatest performance, but he looked decent. I think he is fighting for being relevant and his job at this point. So if he wins in dominating, spectacular fashion, he's going to have some confidence. That'll be good. I just wanted to bring up one thing real quick. Ramses, you said that the flyweight division is it's shallow, it's done, it's dead. One thing that I wanted to pose to you guys, actually, I've been thinking about it lately. How about the fact that they're breaking into new markets right now? Mexico and China, they're trying to get into those markets. There's a lot of smaller fighters in those countries. I think once the UFC breaks into Mexico and China, we're going to have a lot of guys flooding into the flyweight division. So I think within a year, it's going to be a totally different division.
No, man, not until
Oh.
that man loses. It's over. Sorry.
Actually, if I could just jump in for a second, the UFC actually was rumored to have signed a couple of 115 Mexican fighters, 115 pounds, so strawweights, and they have them training at Jackson's and fighting in the Jackson circuit to make their way into the UFC when it's time. But yeah, there are definitely smaller fighters in Mexico and over in China, and they're doing a Chinese Ultimate Fighter, so there will be more contenders. We'll see more guys get signed. There's so many flyweight guys out there that will be signed, and this division will thrive. It's going to take a little while, but it will thrive.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. Let's sort of breeze through these next two FX prelim cards. Sergio Moraes and Neil Magny fighting at welterweight. Amanda Nunes and Sheila Gaff at women's bantamweight. I'm not even going to waste your time on those two fights. And at 205, Vinny Magalhães. Ramses, can I get a Vinny
Magalhães
taking on Anthony the Hippo Baroche. Vinny is a huge favorite. What do you think about this fight? I'm sure you think it's going to be a sub. What round do we see the sub in?
It's going to be a massacre. I don't even know about a submission, all right? Vinny could do whatever he wants to this fucking Anthony Perosh. The Perosh family, rumor is they already, they measured him head to toe. They took those they have the funeral arrangements ready. The body is going to be transported with respect back home, all right, from Brazil. Anthony Perosh is done. He is 41 years old, people. Heads up. 41 years old, going against a Brazilian top-level jiu-jitsu at the top of his game in his home city. I don't have to tell you any more than that. Put the money down. Put it down right now. It's going to be a goddamn... It's going to be bad, people, all right? There's a reason it's going to be the fucking main event on FX or Fuel or whatever the fuck it is. Vinny, it's all over. Vin is going to win. If you're a politician, I'm done.
Well, Look, Vinny Magalhães, he said if he can't beat Anthony Perosh, he deserves to be cut by the UFC. Him saying that was ridiculous, and if he loses, I'm just going to laugh at him.
Yeah, that was a horrible backhanded insult to Perosh, Ross.
Those were harsh words from Yao. Yeah, this really isn't a contest. This isn't a great fight at all. I mean, Vinny's going to take this easy. There's a reason I highlighted Vinny in my parlay, and I highlighted the prop. I didn't even bet on him straight because it's too high, but the prop's a steal inside the distance, minus 135. He's going to finish this fight. He could finish the fight on the feet. He could finish the fight on the ground. It doesn't matter. He could hurt him, go to the ground, and finish him there. However he's going to do it, he's going to finish this fight.
Yeah, man, let's not forget, guys, this is in Brazil. This is in Rio. Vinny is coming out with the hometown crowd advantage. Anthony Perosh has never looked great, really. His 3-fight win streak was laughable at best. And let's look at the Phil Davis fight. Vinny went 3 rounds with Phil Davis, who's pretty highly ranked at this point. I don't think Anthony Perosh would last a round with Phil Davis, so I got Anthony in this one. It's easy money. Or no, sorry, I got Vinny in this one. Jesus, I said Anthony.
I was about to say, let's move on to the main card, and I'm just going to break down these 3 fights, and we'll talk about them in a group before we get to the main and co-main. Middleweight, we have Cesar Mutante Ferrara versus Thiago Santos. We got Thales Lates taking on Tom Kong Watson, and John Lineker fighting Jose Maria Tomei. I got Lineker, Watson, and Mutante. What about you guys?
I got no opinion whatsoever. I will pass it to Yao the Truth. I'm sorry, people. This card is a disaster. It's a car crash, and that's the only reason we're going to fucking tune in, because we all got to watch. Yao?
Yeah, I gotta actually agree with Jake. That's a pretty good pick you got there.
Yeah, for me, the one that's difficult is to call the Lates Watson fight. I think Thales Lates is a different fighter now. I think he's a little more improved. At the same time, Tom Watson's a great fighter. I'm gonna lean Watson now. Lineker, Tomei. Lineker is a fantastic flyweight. He's got 1 loss in forever, but Jose Maria Tomei, made weight, unlike John Lineker, who looks like shit when he doesn't make weight, as do most fighters. Tomei made weight, and he's 33-3. He lost to Formiga years ago, but he's on a great streak. He's finishing guys. Sure, there are a lot of Brazilian guys, but I think Tomei gets the upset. And I think as far as the Mutante, the Santos fight, who cares? Mutante is going to win, but it's not anything you should be betting on because it's not safe.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Lineker or Marissa Tomei. I don't really know much about Thiago Santos, so I'm going with Mutante. I think he won the Ultimate Fighter Brazil #1, I believe, at middleweight, so he's got that steam behind him. And as far as Thales Lates and Tom Watson go, Watson trains at Jackson's. He's got a really high-level game. I think he's well-rounded, and he has a killer instinct on the feet. We saw that in his last fight against Stanislav Nedkov, so I think he'll take it. Thales has been on tear lately, but it's not against high-level competition, and he's never really impressed me as some guy that can really face the top competition, even with his title shot. So I got Tom Watson by a finish in that one.
Yeah, I think we all do. Light heavyweight bout between Lyoto Machida and Phil Davis. It's actually time. I'm going to break out 2 stats of the day on tonight's show, and I guess it's time for the first one. Stat of the day! Stat of the day! Stat of the day! Stat of the day! Here comes the stat of the day! Phil Davis, he was a 4-time All-American at Penn State, a decorated wrestler, but he's going to have a hard time taking down Lyoto Machida. In his career, his takedown defense is 82.2%, making him the best in light heavyweight history. Stat of the day! Stat of the day! Stat of the day! Stat of the day! Here comes the stat of the day! Like always, shout out to Jamie Josta and the Dan Patrick Show for that clip. It's going to be Phil Davis, the accomplished Penn State wrestler. Davis has been on somewhat of a tear recently, coming off that win against Vinny Magalhaes and Wagner Prado. Before that, he had the no contest against Prado, and before that was his lone loss on his record, where Rashad Evans pretty much had his way with him. Lyoto Machida, on the other hand, he's been making his case for a title shot. He just beat Dan Henderson in what was supposed to be a #1 title contendership fight. But before that, he had the Bader fight. Before that, he actually was 1-3 in his last 4 fights before the Bader fight, losing to Shogun, Rampage, in a bullshit split decision, and then getting choked unconscious against the cage by John Jones. The only win in there being that Karate Kid kick against Randy Couture, but I got Ralph Macchio defeating what's his face,
Arsenio
with
Hall,
the talk show, Arsenio Hall. Ramses?
I think this is going to be another co-main event disappointment on the level of a Roy versus Ellenberger. This has the makings of being a terrible fucking fight. In my opinion, I think Machida's done. He's about to be exposed for being an old man, just out of his prime. It's all over for him. John Jones choked half of his brain out that never came back after that. All right, that's the word on the street. Phil Davis, though, on the other hand, he also stinks in my opinion, man. He's supposedly a top 10 guy, but guess what? Vinny Magalhães fought him fucking injured and Phil couldn't put him away. Couldn't put him away. Come on. Yeah, I don't know what to call in this one. I just know it's gonna be a bum fight because in my mind, both of these guys are at bum status. They just haven't been exposed yet, but they are what I think they are, and that's all I have to say. I can't even predict the winner. Who gives a shit? If you had a gun to my head, I'd say Phil Davis by just grinding an out, boring decision. Word on the street.
Yeah, the way I see this fight is Phil Davis is 3 takedowns away from winning this fight. If he can take Lyoto down at the beginning of every single round, he can win this fight. You know, he really can. He just has to be careful of the knees, shooting in. And Lyoto's a southpaw, so he'll probably have to, shoot for a single, switch into a double. I don't know what he's going to do, but he wants to take this fight. Well, I would think he wants to take this fight to the ground. He's not afraid to stand with Machida. I know he's not. I don't think it's in his best interest. That being said, Phil Davis.
Yeah, I'm going to have to disagree with both of them. I don't see Phil Davis winning this fight anyway at all. Phil Davis's wrestling, just regular straight wrestling is fantastic, but his MMA wrestling is okay. I mean, I actually have stats right here, and Lyoto Machida's takedown accuracy percentage and his takedown defense percentage are both higher than Phil Davis. He's got a 66% takedown accuracy and a 79% defense, while Phil Davis has 48% and 71%. So he's better with his takedowns and his defense. Phil can't outstrike him. He's not going to take him down. He's literally Ryan Bader, just with no power in his hands. And Phil's talented, and he's young, and he's a big guy. He's 6'2". He's got a 79-inch reach, but at the end of the day, Bader's a big guy also. He's like 6'3". This doesn't bode well for Phil Davis. Lyoto Machida is going to finish him. Knockout TKO.
Yeah, the Jew has a point, people. Listen to that, man. Machida has a proven track record against the style that Phil Davis possesses. If you look at Randy Couture, you look at Rampage, he lost that fight. He should have won it. We all know that. He beat Tito. He beat Bader by knockout. I mean, Phil Davis is essentially, besides Tito, the worst version out of any of those guys. Dan Henderson as well. Machida beat that guy in a snoozer. But Phil Davis, I mean, his career-defining win was against Gustafsson, that chokeout. That was awesome. Other than that, he beat Little Nog by a decision, and just barely. He had terrible takedown accuracy for that fight. I think Little Nog was getting out of most of them for about 2 rounds. And let's look at a common opponent. Rashad Evans put the beat down on Phil Davis, and Machida knocked Rashad Evans the hell out. So I got Machida by whatever he wants.
Fuck yeah. Machida, yeah, Ross, you made a really good point. Just stylistically, Machida is not a very good idea for Phil Davis, and I think Davis gets his second loss. We will move on to the main event. Jose Aldo versus the Korean Zombie. Like I mentioned, here's stat of the day number 2.
Stat of the day! Stat of the day! Stat of the day! Stat of the day! Here comes the stat of the day!
How good is Jose Aldo? Let me start naming off the records he's got in the featherweight division. Most wins, 12. Most title defenses, 6. Most knockout wins, 8. Most knockdowns, 7. Highest takedown defense, 92.4. Striking defense, 73.1. Times Aldo's been knocked down, 0.
Stat of the day! Stat of the day! Stat of the day! Stat of the day! Here comes the stat of the day!
People don't talk about him much because he's a lower weight guy, but he is one of the pound for pound greatest. And the guy, every time he comes out, he demolishes the guy. And I think Chan Sung Jung is going to be another demolishing. This is one of those fights where, I can't see a way that Chan Sung Jung wins. I don't think he's able to outstrike him or outgrapple him. He probably has a better chance to outgrapple him than outstrike him. Actually, he has a much better chance to outgrapple him than outstrike him. So if he's smart, he'll try and bring it to the mat. But I still think Jose has good enough jiu-jitsu to stay the superior fighter when they decide to grapple. Jose Aldo, all day, second round knockout. Ramses?
Look, people, I just put my fucking ear to the curb. I just hear what's on the street. I'm telling you right now, Jose Aldo, or you're fighting this Korean zombie. I mean, come on, read the writing on the wall. Championship fight in Brazil. It's over for the Korean zombie, man. 3 weeks ago, he was still in a wheelchair, recovering. He's had some bizarre injury. That's why you haven't seen the Korean zombie ever since that shirt got printed up. All right? It's all over for the Korean zombie. He doesn't even give a fuck. He hasn't trained for this fight. They just put him on a plane. He only found out that he was actually fighting today. All right, he didn't even know he was fighting. They just put something in front of him. They're like, lose, sign, money.
They don't give a
and they
fuck.
hand him that fucking. They don't, man. Nobody does. They hand him that
don't give a
fucking.
fuck no more.
That's right. It's a fucking plastic bag just full of money, just a Ziploc bag, and they tell him to sign. What the fuck are you gonna do? You're in Brazil. All these weird people. None of your homies are there. Sorry, Korean Zombie's gonna go out. Probably not a knockout. Korean Zombie, he's probably a smart guy. He knows a tap or some shit like that. That's my prediction. That's the word on the street.
They don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to this fight a lot. More than I thought I would be, but that's only because I want to see where the Korean Zombie can take this fight, because I think he's just going to get outclassed everywhere, on the ground, on the feet, anywhere this fight goes. I think he's going to get outclassed. Jose is just an unbelievable athlete. He's an amazing striker. And, I mean, we don't see his ground game that much, but I know it's top-notch and it's very high level. So I'm excited for this fight. I do think Jose will win this fight and win it impressively.
Yeah, this is a fun fight. It's definitely entertaining. Chan Sung Jung always brings a fight, and Jose Aldo is probably one of the most well-rounded, arguably the most well-rounded fighter in MMA. As far as their tail of tape, they match up pretty much, to quote Goldie, virtually identical. The only difference is Zombie has a 2-inch reach advantage. He's got a 72-inch reach. Jose Aldo's 70-inch. But they're both 26. They're both orthodox. They're both 5'7". But Jose Aldo's just better everywhere. His grappling's better. His takedown defense is better. Even though Zombie's never been taken down in the UFC, he has 100% takedown defense. Jose Aldo has 92. Jose Aldo can stop every takedown. He can outclass him in every little detail, but this isn't going to be an MMA fight. It's going to be a kickboxing fight, and Jose Aldo's going to knock him out with a head kick in either the first or second round.
Yeah, Jose Aldo has faced the best in the division for the last, 2009, 4 years here. He's fantastic. He's a pound-for-pound great. Korean Zombie, let's get real, he got knocked out by George Root by a head kick, and his key win in all of his fights is Dustin Poirier, who at this point is nowhere near a title. That being said, Korean Zombie has nothing to lose in this fight, man. He's going in there, he doesn't have much to prove, he just wants that title. I think he's going to be decently competitive, but I think Jose Aldo is going to take him out before the 25-minute mark.
Cocksuckers, you hear the music and you know what it means. We broke down UFC 163. We gave you a preview on that. We broke down last weekend's UFC on Fox 8, Bellator, all the news in MMA. But now's the time of the show where we gotta say goodbye And, I waited to announce it, and I'm going to go ahead and let you cocksuckers know now. If we do get enough people, we are going to do a post-fight podcast for UFC 163. Chris is going to be wasted. I'm going to be really wasted. Chris, you were not lying when you said I would get more fucked up. When I got to Denver, I had just a few shots.
I told you, man.
I felt like I was about to pass out. So I'm going to be as fucked up. Chris is going to be fucked up. Hopefully everyone on the call will be fucked up. We will be mainly just bullshitting, talking about the fight, what we liked, what we didn't like. So just follow us on Twitter for that, the MMA Podcast, so you can see when we go live. And follow everyone else. Ramses, where do we find you?
The Aunt Jimmy Show on Twitter. It will change your life, especially if you don't already have one to begin with. That's all I got to say.
Yao, where Twitter, Instagram, where do we find you, Raz?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at Yao_the truth, YAO_the truth.
You can find me on Twitter at Ross Finkelstein, E before the L. I broke it out this time around. If you want to make tons of money, if you want me to spread the Jew to you, follow me on Twitter.
That's right, cocksuckers.
Yeah, man.
And the OG, where the fuck do we follow you, Chris?
You can find me on MySpace, Smoke Buds with a Z.
Follow him on MySpace, Smoke Buds with a Z. Is it 1 or 2 Z's?
It's actually 3 Z's.
3 Z's, holy shit. Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate the shit out of it. And while you're at it, go and check out our friends over at MMAmental.com too. They're doing work. We love doing this. We'll be back next week with the MMA Podcast, hopefully tomorrow with the post-fight podcast. The word on the street, you got to listen to that as well. We're trying to break shit down, trying to keep it free-form, trying to keep it more of a conversational thing. But if you do want to call in, be a part of the show, we really love people calling in, tweeting in and all that. We do it Wednesday nights, so follow us on Twitter. I just moved literally yesterday from Florida to Colorado, so we don't have a concrete time yet, but we'll figure it out, and we will be bringing you the hottest shit in MMA. Once again, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week. God bless America. We're out of here, cocksuckers. We